I'm Martin Bandyke. Tuesday mornings, we talk to our neighbors in business, the segment made possible by Northstar Bank. And joining us is a man very familiar to us here at 107.1, the former director of the Ann Arbor Film Festival, who has continued his career in film as the owner of Seven Cylinder Studio. Donald Harrison, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Martin?
I'm doing very well.
Good to be back here.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been a little while, but welcome back, Donald. Tell us, post Ann Arbor Film Festival, you've stayed very busy with the film and video field. When were you director? Give us the timeline when you were executive director of the film festival.
Sure. I ran the Ann Arbor Film Festival up to the 50th, and this past year was the 54th, so I'll have your listeners do some math, or I'll just say that 2008, 2012 was my four-year term in office, as I like to say.
Four-year term in office. And tell us about your business, Seven Cylinder Studio. What do you focus on with your film work and video work?
Yeah, we produce videos for all kinds of small businesses, nonprofits, education, all throughout the community, and we even have some clients outside of the area. But, a lot of what we're seeing is the trend towards building channels, and a lot of organizations want to share their story through short videos, very social media friendly. And so that's a trend that we're benefiting from because we're getting to produce a lot of short form stories, documentaries for organizations like Museum of Art at Michigan or Roos Roast, Arbor Teas, Huron River Watershed Council. We did a whole River Up series. It's going to be playing April 21st. One of the films we produced at the Wild and Scenic Film Festival at the Michigan Theater. So it's really cool to see how the work that I do, my training and documentary now, is really valuable for all these companies and organizations that want to share their story in a genuine way, but in a visual way that is going to reach out people in a different platform than trying to write blogs or trying to just put everything in text.
So the new project you're working on is of your own design, something that is a real passion project of your own. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so it's Kami High, the film, and it's a documentary about Ann Arbor's community high school, which was started in 1972 and very much an experiment in public education. And there was
how so? For those who may not be familiar with community high school, how is it an experiment in education? It was a successful one.
Yeah, well, it's still going. So it's succeeded in many ways. It was part of a movement back in the late 60s and early 70s. You had all these schools that were happening around the United States. Part of what was happening as far as culturally, politically, socially, and part of this movement to really try and do education in a different way. And so it was sort of this idea of a school without walls. Students were getting credit for going out in the community and doing things, actually interacting with different businesses, different people that were, if you were interested in blacksmithing, well, go find a blacksmith and learn how to do that, work with metal. And so you also were able to design your own curriculum, and you also called teachers by their first name, and that's something that continues to this day. But it really was based on this humanistic approach to education, figuring out, well, what are you interested in? What are your strengths? Let's go from there rather than a top-down model of education that we're going to apply our system to you, we're going to fit you into it, whether you do or not. And we're going to test the heck out of you, which is our system now, which, in my opinion, I don't think our public education system is serving the majority of our students. And I know there's a lot of talk about reform. And that's why I think it's really important that we look at a model like Community that start off with a lot of wild ideas. I mean, you would look at what was going on in the 70s now, and there's incredible stories as far as like the freedom and some of the courses that were being taught. Students, were really being asked to help create their own education, which is very empowering, but it was very revolutionary at the time. I mean, I've talked to alumni who were helping hire the teachers, and that's just not something that you would encounter at a public high school, that you're, helping hire and fire teachers that are teaching there. Sure. And so to me, it's a really important model. I mean, it's such rich local Ann Arbor history, but this isn't just a film about Ann Arbor's, who's who and what was what. That will be part of it. Uh-huh. But it's important to, I think, as far as nationally, what's going on within education and what can we learn from a school, this alternative school, in what's already a really good school system. Ann Arbor already has great schools. Sure, and then they had this alternative school that was doing something different and something that stood the test of time because Community, it's evolved into one of the top magnet alternative schools in the country. And in fact, my my initial interest in the film was when I met an alumni who camped out for 2 weeks in 1996. So 20 years ago, this past week, there was a 2-week camp out very close to where we are at the station to try to get into the school. And I just thought, who would camp out for 2 weeks to go to a high school? And that got me really interested in learning more about it.
Who's some of the other, we were talking off mic here, but a lot of well-known folks are grads of community high, such as?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, you've got a lot of people that learned how to express themselves, whether it's through music or radio. So Netta Ulaby, who's, a national NPR correspondent, Davey Rothbart, Found Magazine.
Of course.
Andrew W.K., the party rocker.
Sure,
came out of Community High. And we've been talking. He's really excited to see this film happen. Ingrid Racine, a local fantastic jazz trumpet player and composer. She's our music director. She came out of Community High. So you have actually a lot of people locally who are really making a difference. Sebastian at Food Gatherers.
You say Laith El-Sadi? Is it correct?
Laith El-Sadi, who's tearing it up on The Voice right now. Came out of Community High. And so, you look at the alumni. Josh Silverman, one of the co-founders of Evite. He went there in the 80s, and they were actually experimenting with computers in Community High back in even the 70s. And when you start looking at the history going back to the origins of the school, it just opens up so many bigger questions that I'm really excited to explore through doing this documentary project.
So this is a Kickstarter project that you have going on. You're in the midst of raising money. Give us the details. How do people get involved? How do they give? And what's your deadline?
Well, the deadline is in 8 days, and we are doing Kickstarter. Yeah. And Kickstarter is the crowdsourced platform that is all or nothing, and it's very exciting. It's this roller coaster ride that we're coming around the corner. We're going to hit the final push here, and it's been actually really inspiring because we're coming up on 200 people that have already backed it, including people like Netta Ulaby, but Michael Moore's kicked in as a backer, and just seeing locally and nationally who's supporting it. But we definitely have some room to go before we get to a week from now is when our campaign ends, and either we make it and we go into production and we start really getting into the stories, or we unfortunately have to go back to the drawing board and find another project. But we're optimistic. We think there's a lot of people with love for Community High, or Commie High, as so many people affectionately refer to it. Although at points it was used as a derogatory term, we're really embracing it, and a lot of the alumni are embracing the fact that it's not teaching communism. It's just teaching people how to be better individuals.
How do people give? What's the website? Where do people go to contribute, Donald?
If they go to Kickstarter.com, just type in Commie and we come right up.
COMMIE.
Exactly. Or you can go to 7 Cylinder Studio. I've got information there. Or even on Facebook, if you type in Commie High, we have a page for the project with updates. And we're thanking everybody profusely who's already given, and those who right now are listening and they're going on there and reading about it. We've written quite a bit about the project, and there's a trailer. You can go see it. And we're just fired up about all the ingredients I think this has to make a compelling, important documentary. And very colorful. There's a lot of colorful stories and characters out of that place.
I bet. Get to the website. As you mentioned, a lot of ways to look up the film and to get involved. But the actual website for Donald Harrison's production company, 7 Cylinders Studio, it's the numeral 7. So 7 Cylinders, CYLINDERS.com. And it's right there on the main page. Click on Commie High. The film, our neighbor in business, Donald Harrison, with the Kickstarter project for the film about Community High School. Our neighbors in business, made possible by our friends at Northstar Bank. As always, wish you the best of luck on this project and all your future ones, Donald. You're really one of the most creative people in town here, and it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Best of luck, my friend.
Thanks, Martin. It's great to be on here. Maybe we'll get to see this in Toronto Film Festival someday.
I love it,
Maybe someday.
That sounds cool. All right, we'll make a date there. Blues Traveler, and then traffic on 107.1.